Good morning, people in the south. Good day, people in the east. Good afternoon, people in the west. And good evening, those are in the north. I hope you guys are doing well. I hope everyone is okay. Today I'm sharing a little bit about. Actually, today I'm trying to double click on the energy sector a little bit, just to see if we can play around that little space and see what is it that we can actually innovate and innovate within that little space, energy space. Energy is one of the core sectors in many economies. And I hope the information that I've got, it's gonna contribute something into the idea formation or whatever that you were working on. And I hope you will be able to pivot whatever energy idea that you had. Probably be able to start and facilitate your idea in a way that it grows into a feasible and sustainable business. So it's been quite a week. Today it's Wednesday, but it's been quite a week already. I had some engagement with a couple of people. Some guy asked me, one of the viewers on the channel, some guy asked me if I have any interest to start some kind of school or facilitation, information facilitation processes. Then I said, yeah, but this is almost the same thing. At least here I'm able to cover the entire globe instead of a group of particular people somewhere. But if you're interested in inviting me to come and assist with some kind of information sharing in whatever session that you have, you're more than welcome to invite me. You can hit me up on the comment section and then we will communicate. Some guy invited me as well. This actually the same guy invited me to. He's working on some session and he wanted me to come be part of it. So energy. Let's on the energy and see what we got. The education that we acquired from primary school, high school, tertiary, wherever, anyway, should actually work for us at some point in our lives. We can't just spend so much time. It's 7 years in the primary school. Some continents and countries call them kindergartens. In Africa, we call them primary school, secondary school. I don't know what you call them in other continents, college. In Africa, we call them secondary or high school. And then after secondary, it's tertiary. That's when you get to a college, university level. And we are acquiring different types of education, different levels of education. But at the end of the day, we don't seem to be using that education that we've acquired. So one of the things I've learned about energy as I was acquiring the kind of education as well was the law of thermodynamics. Law of thermodynamics states that energy cannot be created. You can't create energy. As well, it cannot be destroyed at the same time. So you can't create energy, you can't destroy energy. You can only transform or transfer it from one form to another. Transform and transfer, it's almost the same thing. The word trans means moving from one stage to another. So transfer, transform, almost the same thing. So you can only transform energy from one form to another. That's the only thing you can do with energy. So are we actually using whatever that we studied from wherever institution where we acquired our education from, irrespective of how big or small the institution is? Are we actually using that to work for us, to work for the spaces that we live in today? You know, there's people who are struggling, but they've got education, they've got certified, or they are certified to have acquired a certain level of education, but they're struggling. They struggle in different areas. Most importantly, they struggle in finances. And this is a problem which is solvable, because you can actually use the education that you've acquired from whatever institution to build something that will eventually resolve this problem. I know most of us, we are being challenged by the finance area of our lives. There's no individual on this earth, on this planet Earth, who gets satisfied by all areas of life. You can be as rich as whoever. You can be as rich as Aristotle Onassis. You know Aristotle Onassis? He used to be one of the richest guys in the world. There will always be one area that challenges you. So in most cases, in this real situation, most of us, we're being challenged by the financial area of our lives. So the energy sector is one sector similar to the one that I double click on in the last episode, which was agriculture. But this one requires a certain level of understanding of energy. Unlike agriculture, where everyone else who gets born or who be God on this planet is guaranteed of a fallback net, a fallback position from the Creator, that come what may, you will always be able to farm and produce your own food. It's given. It's a ticket that you come through with. So energy, you will need some kind of level of understanding of how energy works, and a level of education of some kind for you to understand what energy is and how it works. So it can be labeled and named in different types, but the fact of the matter will always remain that it's energy, so it needs to be understood. So firstly, the challenges in this sector, it's actually, I'm gonna try to use typical challenges that we live under. For instance, in our country, South Africa, we are exposed to a challenge called load shedding. Load shedding is when the power utility that supplies the country with electricity experiences the highest demand of the product by the customers versus the supply from them as the entity that supplies us with electricity. And as such, they, according to their systems, they are able to determine which part of the country can we take away the supply, because they do not need such a lot of supply at this point in time. So they have put together some structures and schedules so that the entire country knows where to get the schedule, and we understand how the schedule works, and we are able to determine the impact or the how much or how long am I going to be impacted or affected by the interruption. So based on the schedule, I'll be able to know when am I going to be interrupted, for how long. Then I can be able to plan my things in accordance with the schedule. That is load shedding. So basically, they switch you off for a particular period of time such that they're able to supply someone else. When that someone else, according to them, is now at the off-peak or on-peak, they take the supply and give someone who needs the supply more. That's how they balance it. So they shared the load amongst us. So during the day, you get interrupted, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times, sometimes once, sometimes there is no load shedding. Like recently, we haven't been experiencing any load shedding. So there are so many challenges that we can look into, but we don't really need to concentrate and focus much on the bigger picture or the bigger challenge, because the biggest challenge we have now in the country, it's the biggest, where everyone is focusing on, is load shedding. If we all focus on that bigger challenge, we miss the little challenges that the lowest consumers, the lowest level of the communities are actually going through. And that's what I'm going to double click on today. Like, for instance, one of the biggest challenges of energy is, I'm not sure if you guys know the what do they call this thing? It's a ship, a container ship. A container ship, a ship that carries containers that they use to export different types of material. So one ship can carry more than 200,000 containers. You know those container ships, big ones that you see in the middle of an ocean crossing over. From a distance, it looks like it's stationary, it's not moving, but that thing is moving at high knots. They measure them in knots, not the measurement of the speed of the ship. It's called knots, something like that. So it's one of the biggest challenges that I've realized. So it's one area where most of us have sort of neglected, because we think it's not our thing, you know. But there's the biggest challenge in the container ship industry. The container ship industry is running ships on the biggest engines in the world. The engine, it's called, I think this is the code of the engine, RTA96C. RTA96C is the biggest engine in the world. It's the biggest diesel engine in the world. The engine is so big, it's bigger than three-story buildings. The height of the engine is bigger than 3 stories. That thing is huge. Imagine if the ship is going to carry 200,000 containers. You know what that container is? If you go to one container, that steel thing, that it's the size of 2 bedrooms of your normal house. It's big, it's huge. It carries 200,000 of those. So you need the biggest engine to pull that weight. So the guys, RTA 96 has let me think. The diameter is the measure of a half of a circumference, half of a circle. If half of a circle, if you measure a circle in half, it's called diameter, from one point of the circle to the other, equal sides of the circle. The diameter of one cylinder, it's almost 1 meter. 1 meter is this big. Diameter of one cylinder. That's the cylinder is where the piston of the engine is moving up and down to cause the combustion in the engine. So for the engine to have combustion, that's why the engines are called, the diesel and petrol engines are called internal combustion engines. The piston moves up and down to cause the combustion and pressure, such that it's able to trigger the crankshaft. The crankshaft will then turn, and as it turns the flywheel. The flywheel turns the gearbox. The gearbox moves from one or small gear to the bigger gears. Then your car gains some kind of momentum and speed. That is science. So one diameter of RTA 96C, it's almost 1 meter in size. Guys, that's big. And the engine is, this is mind-blowing, 3 stories high. That's how big the engine is. Guess how much fuel this thing consumes? Hey, guys. This thing consumes 250 tons of fuel per day. In one day, 250. 1 ton is 1,000 kilograms or liters. Liters and kgs are almost weighs the same. So 250 tons per day. Don't you think this is a problem to the industry? I mean, that's the part where we need to innovate. They need to put in 250 tons of fuel into this thing so they can ship these containers to the other part of the world. This is the part where we can look into and innovate, This is the space. So the ship needs that much of energy to move the shipment to the other side of the world. This is the part where we can go in. Just take that information, sit down and analyze, break it down into pieces. And if maybe you studied chemical engineering somewhere, you can maybe come up with a way for this very same similar size of the engine to run with water or something. I mean, now we have hydrogen engines, we have, all those kind of things. So these are the spaces where we can actually look into and innovate. And don't take this for granted, because someone came up with that type of engine because it's the only available solution. It's like we stopped thinking after, yes, we have this engine, but then what? Is it the end? Is it? I heard that now they're gonna look into maybe reducing the size of the engine, and this is not purely because they're just interested in working on the designs. And no, they're trying to cap the amount of energy that this thing is using, because it costs them a lot to transform that energy from one form to the other, from chemical energy to the kinetic energy. Kinetic energy is the energy of movement. When something moves, it uses kinetic energy. When something like a roller coaster, when a roller coaster goes up, it gets to a point where it starts to go zzz. When it does this, it accumulates what is called potential energy. So it gains potential to slide down. When it gets to this point, the potential energy from this point to this point will be enough for this thing to slide down to the end of the roller coaster. And then you have chemical energy that is supposed to be transformed into kinetic energy. And it costs these guys 250 tons a day. Come on, guys, let's innovate. Look into that and pick up something. And what I was going through some social media comments on some posts somewhere, and I saw someone complaining about electricity, that it's expensive. We know electricity is expensive, especially in South Africa. If you are being supplied by the municipality, even worse, very expensive. So someone was complaining not necessarily about how expensive electricity is, but they were complaining about why is it that we buy airtime and recharge our phones from the app. And once you recharge, the airtime automatically gets loaded on your SIM card. But when you buy electricity, the system still have to send you tokens. You take the tokens from your banking app. Now you go to the meter and start punching them in. Why is it not? Why can't we have the similar system with the airtime? Buy electricity on your mobile app, have that electricity loaded on your meter. Most power utilities today are using the so-called smart meters, but the meters are not smart, I can tell you now. They are not smart at all, because after buying electricity, you still need to manually and physically punch in the token. And if you do the wrong things on the meter or the keypads, you might mess up some of the settings of the meter. Now it's going to cost you now to call the customer service to come and help you put in it's a whole lot of mess. So it gives us an opportunity as well to innovate in that. Guys, there's too many problems in the energy sector. I've already stated 2 or 3. Come up with something that can bridge that gap, to say, yeah, but guys, I have a solution. to bridge the gap. When you buy, the energy will automatically be loaded on your meter. Simple as that. Another thing that I've picked up as I was reading some articles here and there, over and above the information that I know based on my life experiences. There's something called uranium 235. I think I spoke about uranium 235 in one of our, I think it was our second episode, where I was talking about power stations transforming energy from one form to another 4 times before we can actually get electricity. So they transform fossil energy from fossil to chemical, from chemical to mechanical, from mechanical to electrical. Episode 2 of this channel speaks a lot about that. I was highlighting more details around that. So uranium is also used to generate electricity in nuclear power stations. The reason they call them nuclear power stations as opposed to coal-fired power stations is purely because they are generating power from uranium instead of burning fossil fuel, which is coal. So they use uranium 235, and as an example of some of the available some of the types of uranium that you can find out there. Number 1, uranium is element number 92 on the periodic table. If you've done analytical chemistry, I did this from high school. I did physical science, which involves physics and chemistry. So in analytical chemistry, we learn about something called periodic table, which lists a high number of all types of elements that makes up matter. And the first element is hydrogen. Uranium is number 92. Why is it number 92? It's number 92 because it consists of I forgot that information. If my science teacher sees this, he's going to get crossed with me from high school. And uranium is element number 92 because it consists of 92 protons. It consists of 92 protons and 143 neutrons. 143 neutrons, 92 protons. That's why it's element number 92. It's purely because it consists of 92 protons. Hydrogen is element number 1 on the periodic table because it consists of only 1 proton. Helium is element number 2 because it consists of 2 protons. Lithium, beryllium, carbon, boron, you name them. Whatever number of that element, it means it consists of that number of protons. And uranium in this case has got about 143 protons. You know what happens when they generate electricity using uranium? They actually bombard this uranium with a high number of neutrons. They bombard the uranium with tons of neutrons, and then as they do that, the process is called what do they call it? Nuclear fusion. They bombard the uranium with tons of neutrons, and as they do that, the uranium goes through a process of splitting from one point to another. As it splits, it releases a lot of heat, and that's what they use to boil water and generate steam. So the entire uranium process, nuclear fusion, represents the coal when they burn the coal to boil water and generate steam. So they use the bombardment of such neutrons to the uranium, and then it splits. As it splits, it releases a lot of heat. So look into that process and see if you cannot innovate something in that, So there's a whole lot that we can actually look into and innovate those small little things within the space of energy, So actually there's an abundance of opportunities for us to innovate if we actually sit down and look into how we live our lives, how things can be, actually how things are done, and ask ourselves that question to say, is this how things are going to be done for the rest of our lives? Is this the only way we're going to do this forever and ever? If that is the only way, then if your answer is yes, this is the only way, that means there is more ways to do it. Because if your answer is no, someone else is doing it differently, then it means there's multiple ways to do it. But if your answer is no, there's no way, then it means there's multiple opportunities, or an avalanche of opportunities for you to create other ways to do it. So this is interesting. So we looking at such areas to actually come up with a process to identify a problem. You look into an area where things have been done for the past. Things have been done the same way for the past decades and dynasties. We just got born and we found them like that, and no one is changing them. So you bring in new ways of doing them. Like, for example, there's an ISS. There's an entire complete laboratory, ladies and gentlemen, flying above us in the sky, called International Space Station. The ISS is using what energy? Natural energy from the sun. So we need to learn from nature and use our current problems to use nature to come up with solutions to our current problems. You know, nature will always be the best teacher because we are nature. So we can't detach ourselves away from nature. That's basically that. And another one that I once attempted to work on was the fish that releases electricity. What do they call that fish? The fish generates electricity. Its bodily cells are able to fuse and generate electricity that can actually power multiple houses. You know, I forgot the name of that fish. It will come through. Forgot the name, but there's a fish that lives underwater and it's able to catch its prey by electrifying or electrocuting the prey. It electrocutes the prey, and then as the prey gets null, it catches the prey. You know, it electrocutes the prey, and then the prey will get numb and lifeless, or sort of, and then it will catch the prey. It uses that as a weapon to survive. There's plenty, so we can use that as nature for us to come up with a way to study the cells. How does the cells in this fish work? More like a firefly. Firefly is, you know, that fly that flies at night, but it illuminates some kind of light. I've studied that thing. I've studied fireflies. I wanted to establish the chemicals or the chemical reaction within the fly that makes that illumination. We can use that to come up with innovations, guys. So take one segment of nature, match it with your current, take one segment and match it with your current situation and see if you cannot come up with a solution. And that is going to actually assist you to see problems everywhere. Guys, energy has an avalanche, abundance of opportunities. There's a guy in Venda. I saw him on the news somewhere. This guy is building stoves. The stoves are not using electricity or coal or anything like that. He basically harnessing energy from the sun. I think he's using mirrors or something. So the stove has got built-in mirrors or something. So as it harnesses the energy from the sun, you are able to cook. So it's kind of perpetual energy that you get for free, you know. I just don't know how his technology works, but he's based in Venda. You can Google him and see. Venda is an area in Limpopo province of South Africa. It's just one residential area called Venda, Venda, not Vendor. No, Venda, Venda. So that guy is manufacturing building stoves that does not use electricity, does not use coal, no fossil fuel, nothing. he harnesses energy from the sun, and he doesn't use solar panels. He's using mirrors. I don't know how. Look out for that guy, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So there's too many opportunities, guys, for us to come up with an innovation that has never been there before, an innovation that has never been done before. We can't say it's an invention, because you will be innovating on something that exists, but no one has ever innovated on anything like that. Like, for example, I was just running with my mind, just running with my mind to say, how about we come up with, a bulb, a light bulb was invented. A light bulb was invented so many years ago, before I was born. We found it here. We're still using it even today. We don't really innovate around the light bulb. What we did was just to replace the ones that uses an element into the one that uses a gas, fluorescent lights. We didn't really innovate the entire bulb thing. So a light bulb is a good example. I was just thinking that, how about we come up with a way to sort of record the sun? This is an innovation that I was thinking. I'm going to start to sell these ideas, Come up with a way to record the sun during the day. Remember, this is how I come up with solutions, They sound crazy sometimes. Come up with a way to record the sun during the day, and then during the night you replay it. And then you have the sun at night, at home, during the night. Work on that. You'll come up with something that you never thought will. During the day, you record the sun. During the night, you replay, and then you have the sun. Same heat, same energy, same everything. It's possible, highly possible. That's why I said we have an abundance of opportunities in the energy space. This is the space where we can actually play around and see. We don't have to worry about the bigger problems, the small things that no one ever thought of. Everyone wants to build solar panels, everyone wants to do the same thing. Come up with something that no one wants to do. No one ever thought. Actually, because we were made from the same source, probably someone has thought about this thing that I'm saying now, to record the sun and replay it at night. But we don't have the guts to do it, So lastly, before I go, I'm going to share some information here, or a site where you guys can visit. This one you're not necessarily going to visit, but you're going to download. It's an app, mobile application. So this mobile application, remember I share support programs at the end of each episode. So this one is a mobile application which you can actually download on your iOS or Android systems, and use this app to access certain information and support. So the app is called Ellie App, E-L-L-I, E-L-L-I, Ellie App. It's a mobile application. You can download it on your Play Store. And then this app works this way. You register your credentials. After registering your credentials, you will go to a tab that says application, and then you apply. And then as you apply, you choose what you are applying for. So the app helps people across South Africa, wherever you are in South Africa. It helps with unemployed people to get employment. So if you choose the employment part, then they will request you to attach or send through your qualifications or whatever that is needed. And then it will assist you to find the relevant employment that you need. If you choose, there's other options. Actually, there's 3 options. Unemployment, for employment. And then there's grade 12, grade 12 learners who are looking for, grade 12 standard 10, matric, who are looking for opportunities in tertiary institutions or institutions of higher learning. You do the same, you choose that option, and then they will assist you to place you in the correct institution of higher learning. And then the last one is for businesses who are looking for funding and training. It's another option as well, similar to that one, and they'll assist you to, or plug you to opportunities that are available for you to get your funding, to get your training and stuff like that. So you have all those opportunities. You download the app, you register on the app, and then you give the information that they require, and then they'll be able to help you with whatever that you need. I think this is one of the most innovative apps or solutions that we can ever have in this country, because no matter where you are, even if you are not in South Africa, you can still use these services. They will be able to assist you far as they can, but you will communicate with them on the app. So that is that for the day, and I think that information will help a lot of you guys. If you have someone who or you know someone who needs any of those three, probably 1 in 5 households, there's someone who's in matric grade 12, standard 5, standard 10, and they need that information. That's why today we're sitting with a lot of learners who did not or could not get placing in institution of higher learning because they did not act proactively, you know. So pass this information to them to download the Ellie app and then do as such. And then good luck for those who are going to be part of that. And then that is that. I will see you next week. Next week.